Welcome to Education Today. I'm Madison Vieri of Armstrong High School in the Armstrong School District. Today we're going to take a look in at the group of producers for this year's lip dub. AHS-TV partnered up with Key Club to make another lip dub for the Armstrong High School. The teachers involved were Mrs. Missy Bowser and Mr. Don Swanson. Mrs. Bowser for Key Club and Mr. Swanson for TV production teamed up their students to organize, produce, and create the lip dub. AHS-TV is also responsible for other projects in the school such as the video scrapbook and senior interviews, along with the TV 1 and 2 classes projects at the same time. Key Club sponsors events such as the Veterans Breakfast. To talk more about what all went into creating the lip dub will first be teacher in charge of filming aspects of it, Mr. Don Swanson. Welcome to Education Today. Please tell us briefly about yourself and your role in AHS-TV.
Oh, hi, Maddie. My name's Mr. Swanson. I'm the teacher of the advanced course, Media and Filmmaking, or TV2, and I also teach some of TV1.
What was your role specifically in the lip dub?
In the lip dub, as the teacher in charge of TV2, TV2 is the class that produces the lip dub. So Key Club will organize lip dub. You know, they kind of pick the songs, coordinate all of the groups and the singers, plot them around the school. Once they do that, my job as a teacher is pretty much to kind of like appoint a couple kids to take lead and then put other kids in supportive roles and things like that. And as you know, Sierra Aries, Hannah Hoffman, and Morgan Zellafro took the point on it. You were one of their main helpers on it with a couple other kids. And from that point, then as a teacher, I just kind of keep an eye on you guys and help you out where you need it and try to make sure that everything is going the way it's supposed to go.
Big process.
Yes.
Who else helped you with the lip dub?
Well, we are fortunate to have Mr. Chris Garatano, the school district's multimedia technician, down here. So he helped out where he could, and I know I was out for a little while due to personal reasons, and he kind of stepped in and helped you and the other kids out with it in my absence. So that was a big help. And of course, Miss Bowser as the teacher in charge of Key Club.
Mm-hmm. What all goes into creating the lip dub for a school this size?
Everything. Everything imaginable, just about. It's a huge undertaking, which is something I'm sure all of you girls appreciate at this point. Timing is very big. We worked after school. I know Hannah Hoffman and we went and we walked it out, you know, with the camera to try to get some kind of pacing, seeing where groups would actually go specifically. You guys had to pick the songs, cut them together, get approval. In some cases, you have to kind of track down different groups to try to get them to participate, which is kind of surprising because you'd think that something that's all about school spirit and building school community would be something that more people would want to get behind than not. So that's the process in and of itself. On my end as the teacher, and probably a little more Miss Bowser than myself, you know, just the logistics of the whole thing. You know, this is a time of year where there's a lot of disruptions already. A lot of teachers don't like disruptions. Some teachers see it as another giant disruption, and you know, it's part of our job to kind of shield you guys from that as much as we can and try to put out there, you know, that this is a good thing. You know, it's worth losing a kid from your class or half a day of classes or something like that. So we were actively working on it for a few weeks. Like I said, I had a personal thing that I was out for about a week, and Chris kind of stepped in and worked with you guys on that in my absence. And then when I came back, we spent a lot of that week working on it, and then we spent a lot of the following week kind of fine-tuning it. And on the actual day, you know, we took the Key TV kids around to practice with the camera and everything. Then we pulled the singers, and then we pulled their support, then we pulled the student body. So it's a huge undertaking, and this year's lip dub in particular actually was shot over the course of 3 days. The main part took the day of prom. You know, Mr. Rummel's kind enough to give us that entire morning. Our opening skit took another 3 periods, and that was with Ronnie Bowser. And then we had the bit outside with baseball and softball and everything, and that took the better part of probably 2 or 3 periods.
Mm-hmm. What was the atmosphere like on the day of the lip dub, before and after?
For me personally, I'm always stressed, but it's a good kind of stress. And then the relief is, I can't describe the relief when it's over. the atmosphere tends to be one of general excitement, you know, kind of like a good stress, if that makes sense. It did seem to me this year, though, that energy was kind of low.
Compared,
I agree. You know, like to kind of start it off. But I think once we actually got to a point where we were actually shooting it, you know, kids kicked it up a little bit.
Definitely.
But that was something that I noticed that kind of surprised me. You know, I don't know if it's because it's morning of prom and kids are just tired and thinking about prom or whatever. But yeah, the energy was a little bit lower than I would have expected.
How do you think the singers did overall?
Overall, I think excellent. Like anything, you know, it's completely live. It's a lot of moving parts. You know, a couple of the singers got off a little bit here and there, but nothing that I'd consider a huge issue. You know, some of them were right on. You know, some of them drifted a little bit but found their way back. And I think when you look at it as a whole, that they did very well.
Good. If there were to be another lip dub next year, what is some advice you could give to anyone who would sing next year?
Know your song and know what you're doing is probably the biggest thing. You know, we provided, and I say we, you know, like Sarah, Morgan, Hannah, you, and a couple others, Aries, Maddie Wonderling, provided everybody with a copy of the lyrics specifically. You know, we put the walkthrough bit on YouTube so people could access it and see. You know, that's needs to be used to be prepared. You know, and you can tell the difference. You can tell some of the groups that knew what they were doing and were ready to go versus some of the ones that just kind of showed up and were like, yeah, we're doing this now.
Volleyball definitely knew what they were doing.
Volleyball definitely stands out. Yeah, volleyball. There's a couple other ones, but if I had to give a gold star, I'd probably give it to volleyball and pretty close Hawks View. I think they had a neat thing wrapped up in it. And that's not to take away from anybody else, but fortunately, it all did generally work, but it'd be nice if we could get consistency at that level the whole way through, and that only comes with knowing what you're doing and having a plan whenever you're going to do it.
What are some of the challenges you faced while preparing and producing the lip dub?
The biggest one is probably, like I said before, just logistics, pulling kids out, the day, the craziness of the day. And it is one of those things, like I said before. I know the word on the street is if there were to be another lip dub next year, we might do it going into Christmas break, which might leave some of that. But late April, early May is a very busy and stressful time for students as well as staff. There's a lot going on. Kids are being pulled for all kinds of things to begin with, you know, and it just creates a lot of potential headaches. So that would be, I mean, that's one of the biggest things. And that's something that Ms. Bowser and I try to anticipate beforehand, you know, like as well as lyrics in the songs and everything. You know, on one hand, we have to remember that we're high school, you're teenagers, you know, like we're working with kids, let you be kids. But on the other hand, we also have to remember that, you know, as a school, you know, we're professionals, it's a professional place with a professional environment. And that's kind of a fine line to kind of walk a little bit, you know, and unfortunately, I don't think every staff member agrees on where that line is. And that's something that becomes a little bit of an issue. But But those are the same kind of things you face with anything. You know, if you're putting on like a musical or a play or, you know, some of the things we do in TV production, you know, it's finding that line, but unfortunately that line is to some degree subjective.
What do you feel was the best part of the lip dub?
I always, well, this is the third one if you count Red School. I love it, and I mean this sincerely. I love it when we end and the student body is there. That's just cool, you know. And for me, that's when it all of the stress, all the energy and everything just kind of like runs off, and then I can just enjoy it. As the old bald man, I love seeing all of you kids out there just screaming, having fun. I know I in particular enjoyed this year. I think it was you, Sarah, and Hannah like hugged each other the second, because it's like you just made it, you know, and then looking around, and I saw Aries standing there looking with just this dumbfounded relief on her face, you know, and then you look somewhere else and, you know, kids are screaming and cheering, and and it's cool. You know,
it was definitely a relief.
Yeah,
as
for
soon as
everybody.
you walked out, it was
yeah,
all right off your shoulders.
And even all of the other kids, even the kids that weren't the singers, just supportive kids. You know, it's like, we got here, it's good, it's over, and it all just comes out. And there's something really cool about seeing virtually the entire student body just together in a positive atmosphere. You know, it's just, I love it. That's cool.
It was definitely good. Is there anything else you would like to add about the overall production of the 2017 Lip-Dub?
I think from a technical standpoint, it's probably the most solid one we produced. I think that an awful lot of planning went into it, and you know, that's Sierra, Morgan, Hannah, and then you and Aries as well. And I think it paid off. It shows. You know, that's not to take away from Last One or Red School per se, but I do think as a production that this thing worked. And I do hope that staff and students see the value in it for what's actually there. You know, yeah, on one side, like, it's a big distraction, it's hectic, it's crazy, and it's also fun. And remember, fun doesn't have to be bad. You know, we are a school. You're kids. We're people. You know, everyone deserves the right to stop and have a little bit of fun. And like I said, when you get to that ending and it all comes together and everyone's there at once, you know, like having accomplished it, that's for me what it's all about. And being able to share that with the student body and the community and through YouTube, even a greater audience at large, is amazing. We broke 3,000 views in less than the first 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, you know. And if they're all, and it's saying something about who we as a school are. And it reminds us, I think, and it reminds our community, and it makes a statement to people beyond.
Definitely. Okay, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more of the Armstrong School District's Education Today. Stick around.
Success. We see it every day. Hundreds of majors and programs, bachelor's degrees to PhDs, small classes, internationally known faculty who are committed to your success. Real-world experiences to guide you on your career and life path. An alumni network 120,000 strong. I'm IUP President Mike Driscoll. Visit us. Find your success at Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
All your professors, all of them, they know that all it takes is one dreamer with passion, one person, and they hope in each of you that you might be that one who makes a longer-lasting light bulb, who writes music for the ages, who reaches into the mind and discovers a new star, and who can change the world of a fifth grader. We're gathered here to hope in you.
It's hard to explain. It just became home. There are hundreds of majors and programs, bachelor's degrees to PhDs, small classes and faculty that really get to know you. Amazing internships and everywhere, programs that help to find a job that is right for you. It's what IUP is about, a commitment to your success. See it for yourself. Visit us, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Find your success.
We're back with the Armstrong School District's Education Today. With us, we have two senior TV Production 2 students, Sierra Ayers and Hannah Hoffman. Can you please introduce yourselves and explain your role in the production of the Lip-Dub?
I'm Sierra Ayers. I'm the TV Production Club president, and I was one of the directors for the Lip-Dub.
I'm Hannah Hoffman. I'm just a member of the TV Production Club, and I was also a director for the Lip-Dub.
As the directors, what are some of the things that you had to do throughout the course of the production?
Well, for pre-production, we had to go through all the lyrics and make sure we knew exactly who was singing what lyric, like which team and everything. And then we had to plan the chorus and plan the audio so we knew which song switched where, and there was a lot going into the pre-production. It was kind of stressful, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had an assembly, probably what would you say, a week before the Lip-Dub, that we just like brought junior high and then senior high and had two different assemblies saying you need to pick representatives of your club, team, group, whatever was singing in it, and come to us as we had the packet of the lyrics and like figure out who's singing the lyrics and what you guys are going to do to kind of like show the spirit of your club. So that was a big thing, just getting everyone like on the same page, just to be like, this is what's happening. So, but like she said, pre-prod is huge.
Yeah. How do you go about selecting the songs to use for the lip dub?
I mean, we met with Mrs. Bowser the day before spring break, and we talked to her. Key Club had picked a few songs, and then there was like some controversy with them, and there was some that was like, how, like, are we actually going to pull these songs off? Because, I mean, The Beast was one of the choices at the beginning, and he raps so fast that it would be really hard to get people to keep up with that speed and to keep everything on track. So we met with her for probably 2 periods and just planned everything out, got new songs in, and it was really just me, Hannah, you, Morgan, and Aries that went down and just met with Mrs. Bowser and picked them.
Like Sierra said, The Beast was one of the songs, and he raps so fast in it. And in the lip dub, it wasn't by any means bad or anything, but there were people that had trouble with the rap in my house.
Yeah.
So, and my house isn't even that fast, so if we would have tried to do The Beast, it would have been, in my feeling, detrimental.
Yeah.
Jumbled mess.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can't expect people to be on the spot. We had a speaker carrying around in a garbage can to amp it, and you can't expect people in a huge crowd to be able to, like, hear exactly which words that you're on when it's going that fast. I mean, it just wasn't a song that we could do, at least not at this level with the time we were given.
Definitely. How about selecting singers?
Well, we had, like she said, we had an assembly, and each team, club, or group that was singing in the lip dub, we had them pick, we wanted max 2 singers, but occasionally there were 3. And they picked usually it was officers or captains or something like that, and they would mouth the words for the lip dub.
And a big thing that happened at Katanning that Mrs. Bowser and Mr. Swanson and all of us agreed on was like no double dipping is what we called it. So it was more of to pick the singers. We were like, if you're in volleyball, track, and we'll say Key Club, you can't be even if you're a senior, you can't be the star singer for all 3 of those, because then it's like you see the same 10 people throughout the whole thing instead of having like a broad group of everyone in the school getting involved. So that kind of played into how we picked them too.
Yeah, it's hard because a lot of girls or boys are in several different clubs.
I mean, we're a big school, but we do have a lot of the same people that like get involved in similar things. So I think it's a good thing though, because they always make the joke about Noah Spang like being the star at Katannings, which like, I mean, was he in every single one? No, but you did notice that he was in it a lot. So it's nice to see fresh faces.
Yeah.
I agree.
What did each of you see as the most challenging part of the lip dub?
Definitely getting the singers to knowing who their singers were and getting the singers to like know their lyrics on the day, because we ran through, when we first brought the singers down on the day of the lip dub, the day of prom, some people were like, okay, so what are my lyrics? And we were like we don't even have the packet with us, you know, so it's like just making sure that people knew what they were doing and when. That kind of was just a mess at first.
Yeah, I agree, because during the actual production, you can't obviously see it in the video, but we were singing the lyrics along while we were running through the hallways, because people still didn't know their lyrics even when we were filming.
I was screaming them.
Yeah, we were all screaming, and like someone was taking a video of us behind the camera, oh my God, we probably looked so dumb. Like,
yeah. And then another hard part of it was actually like going through the courtyard and everything, because Morgan was the one filming it, and then me and Sierra were carrying the tripod, and so we had to like make sure that we were both level at the same time, because if you put it on the sidewalk and the tripod on the sidewalk, it bounces a lot.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And so we had to carry it like half the track.
Yeah.
And there were certain times, there's one little hiccup in the video where we kicked it
because
we were trying to put it down. And but other than that, yeah, it was kind of simple, but also really hard.
Yeah.
So,
if you could go back to the beginning of production, is there anything you would change and why?
I would probably change where we were singing, because in the video we had the lyrics got off at some point, and I was talking to Mr. Swanson about it, and I think the reason why that happened was because we ourselves were singing so loud we couldn't hear the music playing from the trash can in the speaker. And so we were singing faster than what the actual song was doing, and everyone else was following us because we were so much louder. Yeah. So I think that kind of messed with it a little, and I think going back, I would have like tried to be closer to the speaker so we knew we were on the right path and everything.
Another thing is, and we already talked about this with Swanson and Mr. Garatano, and they said if they do a lip dub next year that they are cutting the library out completely. You can see in the video, we throw these poor junior high kids and they're probably terrified to be on camera anyway, and there's like a pole in the middle of the library, and like she ran into it, but it's just like the library is really complicated. Like when we were walking through the day before, we had to move tables. Mrs. Giaconi was in there trying to have a meeting to get like the AP stuff like filled out before, and we're like, can we like squeeze all these tables together, because I mean the tripod is pretty wide, so trying to like weave our way through the library, it was just too complicated. So definitely if we could have taken the library out completely and used a different part of the school, I think that would have made it a lot easier.
We even talked about changing the track in the library and going through a different door and going a different way out the doors into the hallway, but that wouldn't have worked with the music, so we had to keep what we had, and it was crazy.
And like Swanson said with the mock, like we put it up so people could look off of it so they knew what they were doing came like prom day, and then like we couldn't change anything from the mock because it was up, it had how many views, people were watching it to go off of it. So like, I mean, we at that point when we realized that it wasn't gonna work, we had to go with it anyway and just like make do with what we had. So definitely the library is not good.
Yeah.
Now that it's posted on YouTube, looking back, what was your favorite part to film and why?
Probably the day of prom, surprisingly, because I mean, we filmed the other 2 days, and even though the other 2 days were easier, I mean, the day of prom, you have the whole atmosphere, and I mean, the morning before we shot the actual thing was terrible. Like, I will not lie, from the directors and all the producers' perspectives, like, it was so much stress. Like, you have to get it done before all the juniors and seniors and the prom goers have to leave at 10:20. We didn't get started until a little later that we even wanted to practice it, because we had all kinds of hiccups, and people were just, like, not where they were supposed to be. So just like the pressure was hard, but then it was so rewarding once, like kind of like Mr. Swanson was saying, seeing everyone in the lobby together and just like everyone just with the band playing and Taylor Mercantile just like getting it, like just doing his thing. Like it just was like a really good thing of bringing our school together, I think.
I agree.
What my favorite part was at the very, very end when everyone was there, because at the beginning, like we didn't run through it with everyone at all. This the first time we did it is the time that we shot it because we were running so short on time. And I mean, I know I personally was a little nervous about that because I didn't know how it was going to work, and because we had been having trouble all morning, so I didn't know if it was going to go well or not. And some of the singers weren't that enthusiastic, but the people in the background were, and that kind of made up for it. And then at the very end, everyone was into it, and everyone was so happy with it. And I think everyone was just relieved that it was over.
Yeah.
So like that helped with the energy and everything.
And like what Hannah was saying, like we were supposed to, we brought just us out and practice running through like we had the days before, and then we brought the singers, and then we brought the club, and then we brought everyone, and we were supposed to have one trial with everyone, and then it was almost 10 o'clock and everyone was leaving at 10:20, so we were just like, we just have to go with it with everyone. And you always worry that there's going to be someone that just like goofs off like and does something stupid that we can't use, so then we have to go back and do the whole thing again, or that people just aren't going to know where to go, or the space isn't going to be filled. So like, I mean, it was a lot of pressure when you have everyone down there without a trial one, but I mean, one time and we got it pretty good. So.
I feel like the pressure, because there was so much pressure to get it right the first time, I feel like that probably helped us.
Yeah.
Because we were so set on getting it right the first time because we didn't have a choice. So.
And no one who was going to prom wanted to do it again. Like
That's true,
when we got done and came down here with the camera to put it away, it was like 10:18.
Everyone was running out of the
people were ready to go. So it's like you're not going to do something stupid to mess it up, or you're going to be really focused on getting it right the first time because you don't want to stay and have less time to get ready for prom, or if you're a boy, go, I don't know what boys do before prom, take a nap.
I remember
golfing.
when I kicked the tripod too. You're not the only one who kicked it because I kicked it too. But when we kicked it, I remember all three of us looking at each other like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this just happened.
Because you can tell. I mean, it jerks. Like you can definitely tell that we either hit a bump, but I mean, that's just, we just had to use it.
Yeah.
Since you're seniors and graduating soon, is there anything you'd like to add about the lip dub or to future TV production students?
If they do a lip dub next year, plan it more than we did, because there was some stuff that was going on before Easter break, and then Easter break happened, and obviously we weren't in school. So we only had like probably 2.5 weeks to plan
Yeah.
everything out, and that was extremely stressful. So start before spring break. If they do it after spring break, which I assume they will, start before then and start planning before then, and like try to get as much pre-prod done before the week before, because otherwise you're going to be stressed out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like there, and Mr. Swanson said, like he had some personal stuff going on, so he wasn't here, and like Mr. Garitano, he didn't do it last year, so he was just like, go talk to Mrs. Bowser and stuff. So that was like the day before spring break, and then you lose, 10 days total being gone, and then you come back and you're like, oh, well, we dealt with this before, like it's fine. And then when Mr. Swanson came back, he's like, okay, are you guys like ready to like make the track pretty much and like run through? And we're like, no, like we're not
really,
ready
no.
at all. So definitely pre-prod, plan before, like don't wait until the last minute. And if they're doing it like before Christmas break, like he said, like start before Thanksgiving break, just putting everything into line so you have extra time to go back and like critique things and like perfect it pretty much.
All right, well, that's our show for tonight. I'd like to thank our guests, Mr. Swanson, Sierra, and Hannah, for being on the show today. And we also need to thank our film crew. Today we had the Armstrong School District TV2 Production 2 students led by their teacher, Mr. Swanson. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. DVD copies of this and all Education Today programming can be requested by contacting Chris Garitano and Armstrong High School. Visit our website for updated news and information about the districts. Have a great week.